Hello, friend, and welcome back to the Everyday Boss podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Jane, and the founder of the Fempreneur Collective, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have Kusha. She is a magical human, and I'm super excited she's on the show today. She helps experienced female entrepreneurs and coaches and service providers attract more clients through their branding without having to DIY. She has a bespoke branding method that she uses so they can stand out and shine like a rare diamond. Kusha, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Can I call you JJ? Because that's what I always like to call you.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Just
Yeah,
don't call me
so
late for dinner.
thank you so much, JJ. I'm so excited to be here on your podcast. And I think this was long due because I remember we spoke about it way back and then life happened and life still keeps happening. But
Yep.
then I'm so glad that we are finally able to make it here today.
Yeah, I think when we originally talked, I didn't even have a podcast. I was just
Yes.
talking about wanting one, and I knew I wanted to have you on it one day. And that was
Yes.
like a year and a half ago. Fast forward, finally in January, we did the thing. So here we are.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this whole like shining like a diamond, the unique diamond that you are. You call it unique diamond. I refer to it as the unique magic that makes us all stand out a little bit differently. But like, explain to me what that means to you. What does being like the unique diamond that you are mean?
Okay, so I think for me, a unique diamond or diamond basically is something which is rare, which is precious, which is timeless. And I feel that if you are in business, if you have some gifts within you, inside of you, they all are unique to yourself. And no two people will have the same gifts. No two people will have those same characteristics. No two people will have the same kind of conceptualization in terms of your gifts and the skill sets that you have to offer. So I feel that each one of us, and we're talking especially about women here because that's what I primarily work with, and I'm sure all the listeners are also women out there. So I think as women, we are unique and we have a gift within us. And diamonds, if you've ever observed, as much as they are rare and timeless and precious jewels, they take time to become a diamond, They
And pressure.
yeah, and pressure. Exactly. So they take that time, they go through that pressure, there is that effort which is required. And more than that, there is a particular amount of mastery which is required to polish it in a manner that it is able to shine in a way that only that particular piece of gem could shine. So again, if you've ever noticed, no two diamonds are also same.
Yeah.
So that's exactly my philosophy in terms of building brands. And I think I've been able to use that even in my own journey, in my own life, in my own business, because I know I've had a roller coaster ride in terms of building my business, which is by the name of the Bespoke Designs. And it's been like an 8-year roller coaster ride, to be honest. So I think we are all having that kind of, a journey, a story, a background that we bring with us in our businesses. And I think all those brands which you're trying to create, all of you out there who are trying to, build that personal brand of yourself, you need to make sure that you can polish yourself in a manner that you turn out to become that diamond that can eventually stand out and, become that rare piece of jewel.
Yeah. Well, I love the analogy. I love a good visual, a good like mind picture to represent what I'm talking about. And I think a diamond is so appropriate because you're right in that like it takes skill, it takes experience, it takes mastery to really make that lump of coal, right? You add some pressure to a lump of coal, fast forward X number of whatever years, and you have something that looks different but isn't shiny and pretty yet, right? So then you have to polish it and cut it and really develop it into that piece of shiny magic, really, that people are paying to drop loads of dollars on. But it is about like making sure it's polished, making sure it's the you've cut off the parts that don't work or the parts that don't actually allow you to shine effectively.
Yes.
I think the diamond is such a great analogy for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you say that you need to cut off those things which are not required, I feel that's exactly where your limiting beliefs, your self-doubt, your imposter syndrome, your lack of confidence or feeling that, that you feel stuck at times, you feel overwhelmed, I think you are the one who is getting in your own way to not be
100%.
able to shine,
A
right? So
hundred
if
percent.
you're able to let go of all of those things, look at that, that entire evolution which will happen. Look at the real person which will come out, and look at how you can really go out there and be your true authentic self. And that's exactly what building a brand is all about, isn't it? You have to be authentic, you have to be true, you have to have your innermost personality get reflected on the outside for the whole world to see. So we all have that within us. It's just a matter of extracting it from the inside out and not from the outside in. I always say branding is an inside out process,
Hmm.
not like an outside inwards process. So I truly believe that we can definitely do that for our own selves in our business.
Yeah. I love the inside out piece because like a lot of times when people think branding, they think logos and colors and a website and the pretty front facing visual parts of what business is. But there's so much more to branding, right? Like I consider myself a brand strategist, but I'm not creating your logo and I'm
Mm.
not picking your colors and I'm not creating the actual branding. There are other could I? Maybe. Could I do a decent job? Sure. Is it my zone of genius? No. But what I am really good at is helping people develop the foundation that all of those things will come from, right? Starting to do that inner work around who you are. What does your business look like? What does it feel like? How do you want to show up inside of it? And starting to lay that foundation so that then I can be like, now go talk to Kusha and take this work we've done on the foundation of your business and your brand and turn it into that polished, shiny diamond because we've cut off the kind of weird looking rocky bits. And you
Yeah,
now have something that can be polished and mastered and turned into a beautiful representation of everything that you are and how you uniquely shine in this world. But
absolutely.
where do you go from a lump of coal to like, how do you start helping people do some of that deeper work and pull out the parts of their business that should shine like a diamond?
So I've got a couple of things that I like to take my clients through. One of them is, of course, how are they connecting with their business emotionally? So what's their big why? What is their purpose? Why are they doing what they're doing? Why would they every single day of the week wake up and go back and do the same thing again and again and again? What makes them continue to do this particular work every single day? So it's not about what lights you up, it's about why it lights you up.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are going to be stages in your business where on a particular day, you may not feel like it. You may not have the best of energy. You may not be in the best of your zone, and still you will continue to work on it just because your why, your emotional connect is really, really strong towards it. So when you're doing business, when you're making a brand, your own emotional purpose has to be attached to it
Mm-hmm.
so that you are able to make sure that the same emotions are going out there and people are, and you're able to convey it to your audiences. And how does that really happen is through your story. How does that really happen is through sharing your journey. How does it really happen is maybe through your client's, journey, because that's exactly what happens, right? That is how people get to know who you really are. What is it that really matters for you? And then they know that what is it that you stand for. So if you have an opinion, if you have a particular value system that you strongly believe in, it's all going to be connected in a way that is emotional, because only then people will be able to resonate with it. And by the way, we're not talking robots here, we're talking people, right? So humans will connect most easily through emotions. And
Mm-hmm.
we all love a good story. We all love to know, what is the background, where you're really coming from, what is that culture, what is it that, makes you the way you are, why are you the way you are, and how
Mm-hmm.
does that really matter for them, because somewhere or the other it is resonating with their own journey. So when you're building that branding, that from coal to the actual diamond, that entire transformation is something which is happening internally. So that's exactly what I take them through. So I don't straight away jump onto building that mood board and going through that Pinterest and all kinds of stuff. Of course, that's going to
Sometimes the
happen.
fun stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it's always the fun stuff, honestly. But I think to be able to reach there, I need to know who you really are. Who is JJ behind this laptop? I know I'm sitting miles apart here, but what is it that, that JJ is all about? I mean, you have already a brand name, JJ. Do you know that?
Thank you, Jennifer Jane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
any networking room, I will, if I see you, I'm not going to call you Jennifer anymore because I know you as JJ. That's what I remember you, whether you're there in the room or not. If I'm going to refer somebody to you, I'm not going to say Jennifer, because for me, immediately the name that comes up is JJ. So this is unique to you. Similarly, there could be so many other people out there who have their uniqueness. What is it within them? What makes them unique? I need to know that so that we can extract that aspect from them and convert it into the visuals, convert it into their entire color scheme, their branding, their collaterals. How do we show it on their website or even on their social media platforms? So this is like, and I feel that it's, as much as I call it like an activity, I think it's more like a transformation that they go through, when we
Yeah.
are working together. So it's
Well,
not like go fill up this form. No, we actually sit together, and there is so much of like back and forth. There's so much of internal reflection. There's so much of, I mean, I've seen my clients come back with their journeys. They are literally crying, and at times they are so, like enlightened because they've had some download, they've had some insights through the conversation. And as much I say that we go through a questionnaire, you fill up the form, but that's not all that there is to it, because there is so much more of an emotional, aspect which gets involved, because, a brand is you. It's not a product. It's about you. It's your personality. It's your core essence. So the more you know and the more you have clarity about who you want your audience to perceive you as. And this is so important, What do you want people to remember you as? Do you want them to remember you as a mindset coach? Do you want them to remember you as a bookkeeper? Do you want to remember you as somebody who is a health and wellness coach or a fitness coach? So what is it? And then in that also, there are so many layers. So who do you cater to? Who is your audience? How can you be more and more clear in terms of the person you want to work with, the reason why you want to work with them, and also why is it that you are the best person that they can find and they should be hiring. So there are so many layers to it. I mean, we probably might have to do like another episode.
it's a whole series of episodes. Yeah. Well, there's a couple things you said that stuck out to me. One, the why being, kind of what stuck out to me is like our why is our anchor point. It's the thing that holds our feet to the ground when everything feels like it's crumbling or is like blowing up around us, right? Understanding the bigger purpose of why we're doing it. And I will challenge anyone who's like, oh, I do it because freedom or spending time with my kids. It has to be deeper than that. Like, can't just be because it's nice to work from home. It has to be, you have to understand the micro nuances of those values and why it matters to you, and then also what it looks like in your life and how you know when you're experiencing those moments of value and experiencing those moments of this is why I do what I do. Because if you don't understand what that looks like and what the representation of it is in your day-to-day life, you won't know these stories that keep you going in those hard moments because they're not going to stand out. You're not looking for them. Anytime we look for reasons to celebrate or we get really intentional about finding those joy moments, we start tracking and seeing and attracting more of that. And when we do the same thing with our why and our values, and we start looking for those moments of this is why I do what I do, we start attracting them and they show up with a greater frequency. And I think that's so important. And then the second thing that you said that really resonated is about being the human in your business. Because storytelling, which is so key, but also that is what why someone would hire you versus me. We don't do the same thing, right? There's one piece that we talk about that's like kind of in the same zone, but like,
yes.
Or I pick on mindset coaches because the work they do is so valuable and there's so many of them. But there's so many of them because they each have that unique intersection of who they are, their real life training and experience, and then how they've applied it in their own business. And that, that center little Zen diagram
Yes.
diamond shape in
Yes.
the middle there is what makes them uniquely qualified to serve the people that they're meant to serve. And that's that diamond moment or the unique magic that I talk about that really allows them to stand out as who they are. But it takes all three of those things and a deep understanding of the intersection to really be able to tap into the storytelling, the humanness, and their unique propositioning point or their unique sales point that allow them to really attract the right people. And if you don't understand those things, first of all, you're not actually in business. You just have a really expensive hobby. And secondly, you've probably wasted a lot of time saying a lot of different things in networking events and coffee chats, and none of it's resonating and none of it actually feels like you because you don't know how to describe who you are and what you do. And you probably need someone to help you go deeper on those things. Just saying. I'm gonna call it out.
No, this is important. And I feel that, branding means having clarity.
Yes.
More than anything else, okay? Because the more clarity you have, the easier you will feel to be able to sell your products. The easier it is for you to, convey your message, and the easier and more confident you will feel in terms of even raising your prices. Because please understand this, that you are building not just a short-term business here. I think I'm all about building a legacy. I'm all about what is it that people will remember about me when I'm not there. And and when I say when I'm not there, I mean not literally not there, but I just mean to say if tomorrow you are in a particular room where people are asking for a branding expert, is my name coming also in your corner of the brain? So does your brain automatically bring me from the behind in the forefront, that, oh yes, I know someone and she's the one and she is the right one? Because you probably might know 4 other branding experts, but just because your vibe clicks with me. So I think that vibe, and I love to use that word vibe, that what's your vibe? And if that reflects just the authentic, real self that you have, if that reflects the right kind of people will be working with you. So you also want to make sure that your business is able to bring in not just clients, but the right kind of clients. They
Right.
are your soul clients, your dream clients, whatever that word looks for you, right? So you want to make sure, because you love doing what you do, you want to make sure you love the people who you work for, isn't it? So if you want that to happen, having clarity in your brand, having that clarity in your vision, having that clarity in who you truly want for the world to know, I think that is that core. It's literally on. If you look at a diamond, it's like the tip of the diamond. That's where it stands. That you should have clarity, because that's really going to be the thing which will lead to all the other things. It will lead to consistency, it will lead to cohesiveness, it will lead to messaging. Everything else will follow if you have that clarity. And that's exactly what I'm doing when I'm working with my clients. We are going layer by layer by layer, and we are removing all that is not needed, all that you keep ruminating about. Oh, I want my brand to look like this. And every 6 months, you're going back, changing colors. Every 3 months, every other quarter, you're like, oh, I'm launching something new. Maybe this time I need a fresh color. I need more fresh eyes, and I'm getting bored. Why are you getting bored? You don't get bored with your own self. What is it that you have inside of you that needs to come out, right?
Yeah.
And that's not going to be something which you get bored of. It will, in fact, evolve.
Right.
So there is a difference there.
When you look at something and say, oh, that feels like me, there's no need to change it. Right? Yeah. Because it feels like you. It represents you well. I had a moment like that with someone who did some branding for me for the Fempreneur Collective. And I looked at that and I was like, I would have never picked those colors, but those colors are so on point for who, like, oh my gosh, this feels like what I'm trying to create, right? Like I had that, oh yes moment. And I think that's so key. And I like that point that you had about the very bottom pinpoint of the diamond. If that's not correct, right, that will affect every other element of how that diamond is faceted and how it's created and how shiny and bright and brilliant it can be. So if you mess up or break off or, deviate from that crystal clear, perfect pinpick point, of your brand, it will muddy the waters. It will affect how you show up, and it will affect how brightly you can shine. Duh.
Yay.
Right? Like, oh my gosh, duh. But so many people skip this point. They think branding and how they show up is just like, oh, my elevator pitch when I'm in a networking call and a hot pink. Yay, hot pink. No, okay, I'm not going to knock hot pink. Hot pink is a great branding color. They don't wear hot pink in real life. They probably wear, beige or something, right? Like, it doesn't represent accurately who they are. And one thing I know to be true is if your brand does not accurately represent who you are and the experience people are going to have with you when they work with you, you are going to break trust so fast.
Yes.
If you go from, hot pink and black to, blonde and beige and brown and bland backgrounds and maybe some plants, and your energy is beige and brown and maybe some plants, there's going to be such a disconnect with what they think they've bought,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How you represent yourself online when you are not the person speaking is so key, because they expect a certain kind of energy based on your words, based on your visuals, based on your colors, and then they experience you and it's a break in trust. It's a disconnect. And you're going to lose money, because once you break that trust, it's almost impossible to regain enough that people will either stick to your program or actually follow through on the purchase. So it's so key to have something that actually feels like you. That vibe check in how you represent yourself is pivotal. It is so key. It cannot be overstated enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And I think, lack of trust means if you have to reflect, it's because you're not clear on the inside. Why do you think there will be lack of trust? Because you're not showing yourself in your real, authentic self. Because you on the inside are confused. You keep second guessing. You keep running behind trends that, oh, I want to go back and now do something else. Or, oh, I don't think this one is working for me. If you are not certain about it, if you're not clear about it, it will reflect in your branding. It will reflect in the way you are sharing about your products or services, in your messaging, in your sales calls, in literally everything, because you're not clear, right? So when you're not clear, it's going to reflect eventually. And that's the whole point, right? Because you're not here. And by the way, I've seen so many people having that black and hot pink.
You don't stand out.
No, they become really successful. I've seen that also happen. They sell off like they've got sold out programs. But trust me, they're here only for the short term. Then they're not talking about legacy, really.
Yeah.
Then what they're really doing is 6 months program A, and then next 6 months program B, and then after a year or so, program C. So for program A, I feel black and hot pink, but for program B, oh, I feel beige and earthy. That's what's happening with them. So they might be able to become successful, but it's going to be like short term. It's not something with which you can create a whole vision. And I see that mostly happening with, people who are in the marketing space, the digital marketing space. Those are the ones who are doing this. You don't see a mindset coach. You don't see a wellness coach, hopping between different kinds of like color themes and all sorts of things. Because you are here for the long run. What is it that you have to offer. You have that trust and confidence and belief in what you have to offer as a mindset coach or a wellness coach. So, yeah.
Right. Well, and one of the things we talked about before we hit record was how confidence comes into play with this. And I know, if there's one thing I know in this world and in being an entrepreneur, is with clarity comes a new level of confidence. And you really dive into that in the work that you do. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you help take that clarity and help your clients feel more confident in what they're doing?
Oh my God. So that's the desired result, because when we work together, when we go through that entire transformation, process, they themselves are ready to raise their prices. They themselves are ready to show up online, because I know people struggle going live, or they don't want to share their story. Will people even be interested in knowing about my, so they come with these kind of inhibitions. And when they go through that entire brand transformation, now they are so ready, they're so confident to talk about it, because you know what? They have that clarity now. So you have that clarity. All you need to now do is go and show up and talk about it to the entire world. So they are ready to go out there. And I've seen that with my clients. So they started with an unprofessional branding, like an unprofessional page or a simple
The
landing
DIY.
page. Yeah, the DIY stuff, literally. And then when we go through the entire branding, I see them, once their branding is done, I see them having like 10K months. I see them having something which is like award winning products, because I work with beauty brands. So they are ready to go out there, put their products like in competitions, because they want that their products should be the best in a particular category. So I've seen that happening. I've seen having, once their branding is done, I see a different level of confidence, because now they are ready to go all in and sell. They don't have to
Yeah.
worry about their branding anymore. They just
Yeah.
have to create those offers. They just have to make sure they've got the right strategy to promote and to do the marketing. So branding is like the foundation. When you have your base strong, now you can go all in. You can fly, because there's no limit. You've got it in place. Now you just pick up whatever is in demand, whatever is the problem that you have to solve, and you can build a strategy around it. So that's the level of confidence, where people are able to launch their, release their books. They are able to become best-selling authors. They're able to, start their podcast. I mean, I know one of my clients who started her podcast, and right now it is in the top 1% of,
Amazing.
the most downloadable podcasts in UK. There is another lady with whom I worked about, her beauty products. They are in the US, and, she's doing amazing. She goes to all events. She does Reiki. She does Ayurveda. She's doing so many things now, because she is so clear about who she is, what she wants to do, and who does she want it to do. So clarity. You have that clarity. Now you can just play around and, and just keep going.
Yeah, and understanding that when we feel confused about our own businesses, it changes our energy and how we show up in a space, right? So when you have that clarity, yes, you're showing up more confidently when you're selling and in your marketing, but you also are connecting with people more confidently and more true to who you are, which is going to convert better. It's going to pull people into your world better. It's going to like really help them anchor into who you are. And even if they're not a client for you, when you're memorable because you're confident and you are like so tapped into your own energy, whatever that looks like. I'm playful and witty and vivacious and I'm a hand talker, right? And people remember me because of my energy, but you can be just as impactful as a soft-spoken, quiet, confident, intelligent, knowledgeable, whatever your energy is. You don't have to be loud and colorful and bright to
Yes.
be remembered when you are locked into who you are and you have clarity around how you show up. And you will be remembered. And when you're remembered, people talk about you nicely. They're not gossiping. They're talking about the work you do and referring people to you. And so yesterday, I hosted the Fempreneur Collective weekly networking call. It's coffee and collaborations, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And 3 people were there that I had no idea who they were. I'd never met them before. They weren't in the Facebook group. Someone had just been like, oh, you're going to love Jennifer's networking room. You should
There you
go.
go.
And they shared the link. And
Yeah.
these people were showing up. And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
it's working. Because when you tap into who you are and your energy and you facilitate the way you were designed to, in whatever container that is, people start talking about you and they remember you and they refer to you and they send people your way because you're clear and they know the results that you deliver. And so it's easy for them to be like, go talk to Kusha, go
Yeah.
talk to JJ, because
Yeah.
it's clear. The
Yes.
clarity isn't just for you. The confidence isn't just for you. A byproduct of that is it's clear for people who want to support you but don't necessarily need to be your client.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to add here that, branding doesn't start and end there, because it's
Yes.
evolving. So it's also about when they come to you. So I get it that now people are talking about you, they're referring you, they're recommending you. You are part of discussions in a room where they're looking for somebody like you. But once you have those people come in, what's the experience that they're going to have? That really matters, because then it's all about the brand reputation. then it's all about how does it, confirm that whatever they heard, that is exactly what you really are. And maybe even more than that, because whatever they heard when they came from there was their experience, whoever
Mm-hmm.
told them, whoever referred. But when they actually come and work with you, what kind of experience are they going to have? Is it consistent with what they heard? Is it consistent with what they saw? Is it consistent with when they went to your sales page? Are they all connecting, and are they all showcasing the same personality, the same core essence, the same vibe? Remember, we talked about vibes. I heard that, Jennifer's networking is amazing. When I joined that, did I really feel that vibe? Yes, I did. So, it just kind of seals it even more. And then later on, they are kind of like your fans, or if you want, you could call them your brand ambassadors,
Mm-hmm.
because then you don't need to do that selling anymore. You've got people who are automatically building your brand for you. In fact, not your brand, your business for you. Let me say that. So
Right.
you build your brand, and your brand eventually will build your business.
Yeah.
That's the entire cycle, And if people understand this, they will never not think about investing in branding. So right
Right.
now, I know this for a fact, and I'm also kind of calling it out, that people first want to go and, make the sales, do the offers. They don't care how their pages look. They're just going to do it on a Google Drive document and blah, blah, blah. Great, good. Maybe when you're starting, it's good to do that. But eventually, if you're here for the long run, you need to get that foundation ready, because that's when you are actually part of the game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just like still experimenting. But if you are really committed in your business, you will want to go back and check, okay, wait a minute. Now this is serious. Now this is something where people are actually wanting, to work with me. So I have to show them that I've got it in me, because now that I've got that trust now. So you've got that trust, right? You don't want to break that. So go and get your branding in place, and then see how the magic, just like you do magic, right? You talk about the unique magic. So that's the magic which will happen, and it'll have a ripple effect, because then you slowly keep growing, you evolve, and so does your brand, and automatically you scale up in your business.
Yeah. And how magical is it to have people be like, oh, you need this, go buy it. And you don't even have to sell anything because your brand ambassador is doing the work for you. And goals, right? That's the goals. How do you come bringing this all the way back to the very beginning and the purpose of this podcast? How do you implement that for yourself? How are you bringing in that clarity and that confidence for yourself on a daily basis?
I think I'm doing it mostly by, of course, I share a lot about my personal journey, starting as a single mom, going through a corporate 9 to 5, and taking that leap of faith, starting into this online space. And then, so I've had my own, ups and downs and highs and lows. So I really love to talk about it, because I think it is so important for me to empower other women through my
Mm-hmm.
story and through my journey. So I love to make sure I keep talking about it in different platforms, in my messaging, in my content, so that they are not only inspired, but they're also empowered. So if
Mm-hmm.
it should be like, if I can do it, so can you. If I can reach so far in spite of all the odds, in spite of going through all the highs and lows and all the messy, doubts and the limiting belief. I mean, for example, I hated going live, and now I can just smoothly and with all ease keep talking for an entire hour, and I'll be absolutely fine. So I've had my own nervous moments and having those kind of feelings and thoughts where I thought that maybe I'm not good enough. So I love to talk about this in my messaging. I love to share that. Obviously, I think when I'm looking at people working with me, so they want to see my portfolio, they want to see my work. So that's also very, very important. So I am primarily active also now on Instagram, because I feel it gives that kind of a visual, like a visual effect for them to go back and see that what is it that she's really like. And yes, it's not just about aesthetically, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it's more about, that vibe which we're talking about. So
Energetics over
the energetics.
aesthetics. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's a great word. So
I'm writing that
energetics over
down.
aesthetics is where the real key is. And that's exactly what I try to, keep showcasing in my work, in my website, in my live videos, or wherever I'm at. So I think these are two very, very key things, which is the story, because that builds the emotional connection. And remember, that's where we started with, how do you make it an emotional connection? And then, of course, the core essence, the vibe, because now that, your story has brought them closer to you, they want to know more. And then when they want to know more, they want to experience more. And then that's the experience which will matter. So once they are in my circle, how do I deliver my service to them? Are they able to get additional support? And then, I mean, for the longest time, I worked only with referrals, is what I remember. It's like for the longest time, I start working with someone and then they go back and refer somebody, or they are coming back for repeat business. I think that cycle, which I spoke to you about, I think that's what success makes you feel, that you've built a place for yourself and it makes you become memorable
Yeah.
in the eyes of, your clients.
Yeah. I mean, when you don't have to sell, right? Your pipeline's always full because people are in love with what the results of what you do is happening. Like that, goals, right? Like imagine a business you don't have to market because the work you do sells itself. Talk about actually building a legacy, building something that's going to outlast you, especially if it's a repeatable process and it's something that you can teach. And we've touched on it a little bit, but I am in the business of building a legacy, right? I want something that will outlast me by 100 years and continue to impact women long after I've left this earth. And I know you have similar things in mind, especially, I guess, as a parent, right? You want something to pass on to your children. And having a clear brand, having that clarity around who you are, how you show up, the foundation your business is built on, all of those core elements is pivotal to be able to build that thing that's going to outlast us. So
Yeah.
Bravo to you for creating it for yourself and helping other fempreneurs do the same thing for their businesses.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. Kusha, how can people connect with you? What are you working on? What's happening in your world? Tell us, those fun little bits.
So I think one of the best ways to reach out or connect with me is on Instagram, which is my Instagram page by the name of the.bespoke designs. And of course, I have my website also by the same name, www.thebespokedesigns.com. So they can check out my website. They can definitely send me a DM or follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm mostly active. And I do have like an upcoming masterclass, which is about how to build a personal brand for coaches, that shines like a rare diamond. So I will definitely be, sending the link to you so that you can put it in the, I don't know,
We'll
in
put
the
that.
comment. Yeah.
Yeah,
In the
we'll put that
notes.
in the show notes. There we
Yes,
go.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think that's something which people can definitely participate in, or they can register for, because I think that is where we will cover or dive deep into this entire analogy or philosophy of, why the diamond, and how personal branding can, build your standout brand, stand out or make you stand out really like a diamond.
Incredible. Amazing. Yeah, all of that information will be in the show notes, as well as links where you can connect with Kusha. Thank you so much for listening, Kusha. Thank you for being here. You guys know the drill. Go like, go share, go subscribe, and of course, go build your empire.